I guess I'll just introduce myself.
Oh.
I thought that we had a pattern. My name is Russ Green. I work for the National Marine Sanctuary Program. And one of the great things about marine sanctuaries is they only work if you have great partners. So when you've got great partners and they're telling a new group about national marine sanctuaries, I think sometimes from the NOAA staff perspective, you get out of the way. So, I've got a couple of things that I'd like to mention and then, move into questions. Steve brought up a great point, which is, you got to get your questions answered. That's what this forum is about. We want to talk a little bit about some of the experiences our partners have had, the state's perspective on this proposal, Steve's perspective from Alpena, Mayor Vandersteen's perspective from an emerging local community that could be part of a marine sanctuary. So, again, hearing from those voices is pretty important. The reason we're doing this, and again, Leslie really pointed out the public process, the number of public comments, the number of opportunities for comment, but being here tonight is about, I think, getting a proposal right. And I wanted to mention where we are in that process. So we are working through all of those comments that Leslie mentioned, the 650 or so, working with our state partners and others to craft what we call the final proposal. Now, sometimes it's hard to explain. You say, well, geez, that's the final proposal. It's done. And what that really means is it's really a final draft that brings all of the ideas that we've heard over these last couple of years together in a final document that has a management plan that outlines what the sanctuary would do. You hear a word, comprehensive management, you kind of wonder, well, what is that? The management plan talks about how education, resource protection, research fit into this idea of managing a national marine sanctuary. So that's part of it. The regulations are part of it as well. So we aim in the month of October to have that crafted in partnership with the state. It's very important that it's understood that this is a co-management arrangement with the state. This isn't about NOAA coming in and taking control from the state of the bottomlands or the resources. Those remain with the state of Wisconsin. What it does make is a co-management arrangement that John sort of alluded to. There's a memorandum of understanding that details that out. We're working on that now. So that package, in October, we'll have that crafted in a good spot, and then it really begins the clearance process. So it's not done. It goes into NOAA, it goes into the National Marine Sanctuary Program, and you can imagine there's some give and take as we figure this out, and policy people with NOAA come back and say, well, what do you mean by this? And so there's give and take. It goes up through NOAA, ultimately to the NOAA administrator and the Department of Commerce. And so that review process, it's hard to say how long it will take, but that's yet to go. And when that's finished, it comes back to the governor of Wisconsin for final approval. And so that's also pretty important to know. So this proposal is ongoing. The process is ongoing. I want to mention too, just briefly, that we've done this before. Last time we did it was in Thunder Bay. It was a little bit before my time. I got there in 2004. Thunder Bay was designated in 2000. And I think from the concerns that I hear emerging from the communities, important concerns, many of those were voiced, as Steve mentioned, in Thunder Bay. And in fact, that whole process was a public process, and that's chronicled online. So when we hear public comments, those are addressed in the documents that are the final documents for the Marine Sanctuary Program. And the short story is that process, those sentiments, are all still available for reading. And they make, I think, a good guide to help address some questions that are emerging right now. In 2014, that sanctuary expanded 9 times. It's a big expansion. And the process for doing that was very similar to the one we're going through right now. Public comment period, working with the state. It's important to know that that was driven by the outlying communities of Alpena, who said, geez, we see some real benefits going on in Alpena. We'd like to be part of that marine sanctuary. There was a resource protection reason to do it. There were great shipwrecks outside of that boundary that defined the original proposal. But it's important to know that that also was a public process and governed by this administrative process that we're in right now. So as sanctuaries evolve, those things are regulated and dictated in how sanctuaries change or expand over time, and that's really important to know. So I think what I'll do is stop there, and so we have time for questions. I've got a long list, and I hope we do get questions because I know there are some important concerns out there. So I'll turn it over to Chris Sari from the National Marine Sanctuary Foundation.